Yes, here we are once again. And if you're watching us live in living color on the video portion of the show, of course, that means it's Wednesday, noon Eastern time, which is always time for the High Noon Hemp Show. If you're listening later or watching later, that's cool. But if you're watching now, that's what time it is. What time it is later, I don't know. I can't tell you because I can't see your life. In any case, it's my long-winded way of getting to the fact that it is time for the High Noon Hemp Show. You find it so many places. Facebook, the Temptations Beach Facebook page, YouTube, the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and of course on X at Temptations. We're also the podcast is back as well. iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and Amazon Music. A lot of classic episodes up there. More coming soon. Go check it out. I am Stoner Jesus. I do various things on the interwebs. You can search out if you feel like it. He is Beach. He loves hemp. He's got a lot of yellow and black behind him today. Beach, how are things this week in the world of Temptations?
Things are good. Things are okay. It's going to be a lovely spring day here.
Indeed.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. It is the High Noon Hemp Show. It's high noon. It's Wednesday. Here we are. Welcome everyone, new and old. It's true. That guy over there, Stoner Jesus, he pushes the buttons. He makes sure that this thing gets through to your things, and it's going to be a great thing. So, remember, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy, but I am going to contact them soon because I think I can get them to go ahead. The new FDA may go ahead and approve this. I don't know.
That'd be nice.
Oh, by the way, Stoner, besides being High Noon Hemp Day, so to speak, what else day is it?
The word escapes me, but I know it's a one syllable word, and it's a very important word that today is. Why don't you tell me, Beach, what is today?
It's Hemp Day! That's right. Welcome, everybody. It's Hemp Day! And that's all we're going to talk about is hemp. That being said, everybody put their peace signs on their hemp or heart, either way.
Indeed.
And I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all.
Indeed.
All right. We got a good show today. If you're interested in hempcrete and building, I tell you, the news is full of it today. Full of it. It's going to be great. But first, let's get to the product spotlight. That's right. 4 from the store, 1 from my door here on the High Noon Hemp Show. So the first one here is maybe you need some hemp business cards. These are 25% hemp, 75% post recycled.
Oh, that's not it.
Oh no. These are obviously the business cards that I have used for probably 15 years. Did I send it over? Did I forget?
I don't. I have way too many of these pictures and stuff I have put up here. Let me find it. There we go. Now we're cooking.
Here we are. That's Greenfield Paper Company. Check them out. They have all kinds of great hemp papers. And again, it's only 25%, but it's better than nothing. We get that to 50%. That'll be great. We get it to 100%. Perfect. But right now we're getting what we get. And so no trees had to die. Well, it is recycled too, paper. So a tree did die some time ago. But at least its life was not in vain, as it is reliving itself in hemp paper.
Indeed.
Can't go wrong there. Here's the Grassroots Bowl hat. This is actually sized in a 7 5/8. This is a semi-famous hat. One of the Cincinnati Bengals players was wearing this at a big MMA fight, and they were actually showing someone that was sitting in front of him, but you can clearly see him wearing his Bulls hat, which he bought, and at Temptations in O'Brienville. So the Bengals have been great Hemptation's support, one way or another. How about some Earthly Body Dreamsicle? If you like the smell of dreamsicle, and I don't know if you do or not, you might have to come in and find out. We have it in just about every form that you would want it, from lotion to massage oil to like a spray on spritz. All great for your skin. Earthly Body is one of the preeminent hemp cosmetic makers. And that's not just my opinion. That's pretty much fact at this point. I think I just saw yet another post from them, and I can't believe I'm going to forget famous actress who loves their products, and I know that they're big in California because it's natural, and hemp oil is so good for the skin. It's just so good for the skin. It's a perfect product for any type of topical. As far as that goes. And the last are the necklaces. We are transitioning to hemp necklace weather, as I say. Not that you can't wear a hemp necklace year round, but a lot of people tend to come in and buy more hemp necklaces in the summer.
Yeah.
When they can show them off. So we have a great selection of hemp necklaces to choose from. Also bracelets, anklets, a little bit of that stuff too. So, if you like that type of stuff, we're in the spring weather here in Cincinnati, in the high state area, where it's like chilly, cold in the morning, and then by afternoon it's beautiful 75, and then by night it's chilly cold. So, anyway, once the summer hits, people really like to show off their hemp necklaces. And the last one is my name tag. So I was at the medical marijuana meetup last night. You're going to see more of this here in a minute. But this is the name tag when I go out and I want people to know who I am. Instead of having to write it on one of those stickers, I wear this. Now, of course, we don't have Tohi Spa anymore. That kind of dates when this was made. So I probably had this made 10 years ago. Green Springs Technology. If you watch the show at all, and you'll see more of them, you know how much I love my Green Springs Technology stuff. And so, it's highly magnetized. Put it on my shirt. Bim, bam, boom. Everybody knows who I am. And so there you have it. Here on the High Noon Hemp Show Product Spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door, my personal collection of hemp goods.
Indeed. Now, of course, us to the beachwear segment, the greatest segment in the history of all internet video segments, especially the ones about hemp. And as you know, if you follow the saga, we chronicle every week Beach's massive hemp clothing collection. He has all kinds of hemp stuff. He sets and holds many hemp world records, none of which are recognized by the Guinness World Records. And I could give Beach 1,000 guesses as to what Guinness thinks is the most important thing and going on in their records right now, because it's their pinned tweet for like the last week or so. I give him 1,000 guesses and he'll never get it. The only thing he can say for sure is that it is not about hemp. But what is it about? Well, check this out. Mr. Pugsley Adams, the cat with the longest tail in the world, about 1.5 foot. 1.5 foot tail.
That is a big tail.
Mr. Pugsley Adams. It's impressive.
It's a big tail.
Is it more impressive than Beach's hemp records? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, really, what did the cat do? He grew a tail. I mean,
right.
That just had to be longer than the other ones.
Yeah. Now there's a mad rush for everybody to measure their cat's tail.
Right. Your cat, if you can get more than 1.5 foot,
you're a winner.
Contact Guinness. They'll love to talk to you, apparently. It's very important to them. What cat has the longest tail? But anyway, what we do here has nothing to do with that. It has to do with me asking Beach a very simple question and then him answering it in audio and picture form when I ask, what are you wearing, Beach?
It's true. Because I wear hemp head to toe every day, which is probably some type of record in itself.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. They don't. They just don't care. But if you're curious, hey Beach, what did you wear to the medical marijuana meetup last night? Here you go. I had a lot of comments on my hat, so I thought, you know what? I'll just wear this outfit for the show today as well. And so, here you go. So on top of the lid there, that is the Head Eye Council grassroots hat. I had somebody come up to me like, "Yeah, I love that THC," and then I was like, "Yeah, that's the Head Eye Council." My zip up hoodie there is a hemp hoodlam hoodie, and again, I'm layered up because again it was chilly this morning. By the time I'm done with the show, I'm gonna have to take half these layers off, but that's the way it works around here. And then underneath that hoodie, I've got on a old classic Hemp Town T-shirt, and if you look closely on my chest there, I do in fact have my name tag that I just showed you on the product spotlight on, because I wore it last night to the medical marijuana meetup. Once a month here in the high state area, and it's a great meetup. I had some great hemp conversations, talked to some hemp farmers. It was really again another great night. My jeans, those are forever faded. That's like supposed to be like design fashion wear. Forever faded hemp jeans, and then of course in the pocket there you see my Green Springs technology pen as usual, and then underneath it all, pair of Satori boxer briefs. My socks are Terramar crew socks. I really like these. They're a little stretchy. I want to say that the percentage of hemp is semi decently low in these, possibly, but they are very comfortable, nice stretchy socks. And then on the feet there, good old pair of Adidas Sambas. So if you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you know. Here on the High Noon Hemp Show. All right, well, let's get to this little trailer. This is one of the old. I didn't watch it. I'm not even sure which one this is, but this is one of the old. I'm assuming this is one of the old trailers that I made, probably going on about 10 years ago almost. So let's just check out this fun little trailer, and then we'll come back with the news.
A lot of hemp stuff.
Hemp is here.
Indeed.
It is true. And as promised, and not done yet, but I did start a brand new trailer. First trailer that I've made in a while. Well, no, I made the one for the High Noon Hemp Show, so we've got that one that's kind of new.
Mhm.
So I'm going to do a new one. Need to make them. They're fun. I think I've picked a genre that I have not actually done yet. And so there you have it. All right, let's get on with some news here. A lot of good stuff. So Nimtim Architects. This is actually before, and I forget because I didn't include this at the beginning because I meant to show. I went to Rob Ryan's it wasn't a memorial. He had an early birthday because Rob's health was is really going downhill. Um, and and you might not know in Ohio, and a lot of people don't know. But honestly, Rob Ryan is really one of the reasons, and I will give him credit before I would give myself credit, that we have medical, that we have recreational in Ohio. Rob is a cannabis warrior. We started really kind of working together a long time ago. I mean, um, soon after he took on the cause, and he was truly one of those individuals. And I always admired him for this. Super smart, literally like a rocket scientist, rocket engineer or something, retired. Um, but he was so good at educating and talking to people, and it was self-sacrifice. I mean, he was not trying to do this for himself in any way. He wasn't trying to make a name for himself. He wasn't trying to be the guy. He was doing it because he truly believed it needed to be done. And throughout working with a lot of people in the industries, there are a lot of very selfish people out there when it comes to their message. Sometimes they're really in it for themselves. Rob has never been in it for himself. um, that being said, he printed these on his 3D printer for all of his cannabis family people, thanking me, for what I've done because we've worked a lot together. So I meant to show that at the beginning. It's kind of neat. It was like I went there to thank him for all that he did, and he thanked me again. He's very selfless, very selfless. All right. All right. So let's get on to it now. Okay. So here we have the Nimtim Architects. This is over in London. Completed an attachment to a 1930s home, and you can clearly see that hempcrete sprayed in there. Basically to make the walls. I'm not positive. No, I don't believe that the roof. I believe that's a wood structure. Uh, but again, and I think it's kind of interesting, kind of neat too, where they kind of left most of the frame exposed. As you may know, if you watched the show before, you're going to learn now. You can. The one thing we don't do right now is use hempcrete as load bearing. So there's always got to be a frame. Now you can actually cover the entire frame with the hempcrete, so it looks like your wall is completely hempcrete. Uh, I think it's kind of neat here where they actually kind of left the frame so you can see the frame, and then also that hempcrete in there. So, neat little addition to a 1930s home. So that house is almost 100 years old. When they decided uh, to add an addition, they decided to use hempcrete. I think that's pretty neat. Again, the Europeans are really, it's big in the United States and gaining traction every day. But I think the Europeans are really, doing a lot more hempcrete projects one way or another. So Steve last night at the medical marijuana meetup asked me, we were talking about hempcrete or using hemp as insulation, whether it's fiber insulation or hempcrete insulation, and he asked me the R value, and I should have known, and I didn't, and I said some crazy number that was like super high. So I had to go, of course, research that. I want to know anyway. It's a very good question, and I should have known the answer. So the R value of hemp fiber insulation, and this is comparable to like your fiberglass insulation, the stuff you gotta wear a hazmat suit to actually work with. Okay, and again, hemp fiber insulation I think I've only seen one picture of a person that had a mask on. But most of the people don't even have masks. You don't have gloves. Again, you can work with it, and it is going to have zero skin irritation. And most more than likely, other than maybe some heavy dust, which I don't think it should contain either, I don't really think you're going to inhale any small particles. Uh, so again, that's got about a 3.5 per inch R rating. Now, hempcrete, it kind of varied, and I think that, and I'm not really sure how this has always worked out, but I guess it says that it can be anywhere between 3 and 5 per inch. And so maybe that is maybe some hempcrete, because there's kind of there's not one unified formulation, even though I think that most of the formulations of hempcrete are pretty much the same. The amount of lime to the amount of hemp shiv to the amount of water, it can't vary that much. But there may be some inconsistencies, and maybe that's why that R value is different in the hempcrete. Like, it can be a various. And I think they've so anyway, there you have it. If you know what that really means, because I didn't actually go that far researching, but I'll check into it to see, and I assume, because they're always talking about hempcrete being a great insulation, and I'm pretty sure, see what the comparable R values are to the really bad, unfriendly environmental things that they're using now for both fiber insulation or fiberglass or concrete. And if you don't know the reason that concrete is environmentally friendly, it's probably more than one reason, but it's basically the sand and pea gravel and things that make up concrete. The only source for them now is to be mined or dredged. And they know that they're running out of this particular material, again, sand from the desert somehow obviously doesn't work. And I think it's because it's too fine. I think you need the bigger, coarser sand to make a consistent concrete. And obviously that doesn't work with desert sand, because, again, I would feel like desert sand would also be endless. But not that I'm saying we need to go bulldoze the deserts. Not when we can make hempcrete. Again, there's no reason to even, all those unfriendly or non-replaceable environments. I can see them trying, like over in Dubai and stuff, where they're literally like building cities into the desert. Hopefully they've tried to figure out, what to do with that sand in a in a construction way. I don't know that they have. I know they build some big buildings. So anyway, there you have it. R value of 3.5 per inch for the fiber insulation, and anywhere between 3 to 5 per inch on the hempcrete. Royal Robbins. I don't know anything about Royal Robbins, the clothing company, but it was started by the Robbins, and it was always a environmentally friendly. They were climbers, I guess, and so it's kind of outdoor wear is their shtick when it comes to the products. But they, I think I sent a picture over of some outfits. There's some different clothing items. I just went to their website because I saw one of their products. And again, I use go to the website wherever you want to see if someone makes hemp in their clothing line, whether it's Adidas or um, Patagonia or whatever, and just put, search for hemp. And that's all I did here. And it pulled up a lot. They use hemp in a lot of their stuff. So I really thought these were some good examples. You got, good old hat. Who can't have enough hemp hats? Obviously not me. I hold the record for different hemp hat every day. 168 days, if you're curious. And I really like the plaid shirt, and then the women's wear, which the like long sleeves on the left are both kind of women designed for women. So they had both men's and women's, and using a lot of hemp because again, it's great, it's durable, it's perfect outdoor wear. So why wouldn't they? Again, that's Royal Robins. Just go to their website or find them online. It's not cheap, as you can see, not super cheap. Although $28 for a hat, although it does seem expensive, is not really expensive in today's world. um, so yeah, is what it is. But that price is actually, I bet, pretty comparable if you went to try to go buy a nice baseball cap. I bet you'd spend, you know, probably more than that. Probably more than that, honestly. So anyway, Royal Robins, check out their stuff, support them. They use a lot of hemp in their adventure gear. Um, Pennsylvania. This is very interesting. Now, I reported on this, I believe, a while back as it was going into the court system, but the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has declared that CBD oil can qualify as medicines and supplies under the Workers' Compensation Act. So if you're in Pennsylvania and you're under a workman's compensation claim, um, or time, however that works, then if you're using CBD to treat yourself, to make yourself better from whatever it was, whatever accident or whatever happened, you can now, that qualifies as you can write it off basically. Um, and so, it's very positive. It's also very interesting to me, again, and maybe because there is one FDA CBD based drug that has been approved, maybe that was enough to go into the course and say, this is medicine, because I can't call it a medicine,
Mhm.
right? Um, Retailers cannot call it a medicine. Only doctors actually can call it a medicine or make medical claims. Um, and so it's very positive that they convinced the judge or the court, um, by providing them the truth. I'm sure. I mean, there's been enough studies, there's been enough things now, whether it's approved by the FDA or not, to say yes, this does this helps a lot of people, and it could definitely. I mean, we know that if you were in an accident, um, you know, uh, even broken bones. We've seen studies that show that CBD may have a positive impact on the healing of broken bones. We know that it helps with inflammation. So if you're any pain, which most pain is caused by inflammation, um, that's what a lot of our customers use it for, is its anti-inflammation properties. So, um, hopefully this sets a precedent, and hopefully, other states pay attention to this, and hopefully people in other states, it all started with someone who used CBD to recover from their accident, and then they wouldn't get reimbursed, and so uh, it worked out like it should, and hopefully other states are paying attention, and hopefully again the FDA can you know, make some changes when it comes to the CBD status. Because really, right now, it has no FDA status. Like I said, we can't make any claims about it. We cannot, we can't even really call it a supplement uh, because it has not been approved by the FDA as a supplement. And up until now, they have refused to do anything. Hopefully, again, best out of the worst. Hopefully they may be forced into doing the right thing and at least making it grass, which is generally regarded as safe. I think it's been in the public long enough, honestly. We're going on 10 years of CBD being, the boom might not have been the real popular, might not have been until 17, 18, but it really started to take off 10 years ago. And again, it's been in the public long enough, and enough of it's been in the public long enough that I think that's a proof that it's not harmful. Um, Again, I have never, ever, ever seen a claim that CBD caused harm to anyone, ill side effects, anything. We've proven that it's totally safe for driving. There are no side effects, honestly. It works and it does the things that we want it to do, um, without really any negative side effects that we know of. Again, and the one thing that we've only seen, and this came out of, I think, the trials for the drug that they approved, is that there may be issues with the liver. Again, and again, the drug was approved, but I think during the study of the drug, they were really kind of, it obviously wasn't bad enough that they thought it would cause irreversible harm to the liver, but possibly they saw changes in the liver that may or may not be concerning. So far, I think, obviously, I think that's, more research should be done there, so we can find out, is there a healthier, does more really cause problems? Is there a healthy, what's the, right amount that's safe for the liver? If it is unsafe in any amounts, those are things I want to know too. All right. Some more hemp stuff. How about hemp blocks? I know I have shown blocks like these before. These are in production. You can order these, from the company here. Again, I just went to their website. I really think it's kind of neat. Like if you look at the block close enough in that picture in the left there, you'll see where they've left rebarb holes. And so, uh, reinforcing hemp block with rebarb, that would be pretty safe. I don't I don't think the fox is gonna blow that one down or whatever. And then you can see how they stack, how they put together the one wall in the bottom right picture, in the left of the picture. That's like a wall made of 2 blocks thick with yet hempcrete on the outside of it. And so, if you need a super thick wall, there you go. And again, so easy. It'd be so easy to work with. I'm a Lego kid, so my brain says yes, please. Can I get the Millennium Falcon hempcrete block kit, please? Just give me some instructions and I'll put it together. Um, but yeah, I love this. Yet another form, and we have seen this form before, and there are other places doing this, but these guys are up and operating, and as far as I know, ready to sell you this stuff. Just Biofiber is the name of the company. You can see there. So I should have taken more care to find out what part of the country they are in. Um, but some really neat product, hempcrete product there. Easy to work with. Um, so, according to an article, how to choose the best protein powder according to nutritionists. I feel like there's, this one comes up about every 3 months on the best of and things, but it is supposed to be nutritionists that are telling us that. I quote, hemp also tends to be a protein that is very easy on the stomach, so it's good for those with digestive issues. This we've talked about before as far as hemp seed nutrition and the gut biome and how positive that it is on the gut biome. It's got some fiber in it, so it's even good for the digestive tract. Um, but all of it has been pretty positive on gut biome. And one of the reasons that they were bringing this up is because a lot of the products on this list were whey. Okay, so there's a handful, less than a handful of ways to get really good high protein powder, and whey is one. Whey is made from dairy. Okay, dairy is not good for the gut biome. Okay, I learned this, and I was talking about this last night, as a matter of fact. And I learned this long ago when I was reading a book, and the book basically said, take foods out of your diet for a month and then reintroduce them to find out whether you should be eating them or not. Okay. And one of the first things that I learned is about dairy was just that. That again, and then the more research that I did, the more you find out that dairy it's just like, it's not good for humans. It's not. No dairy products are really good for humans. Do I still like some cheese every once in a while? Well, sure, because I like the taste of it, not because I'm trying to get a nutritional value out of it. In fact, it's got negative fat. But either way, I am a nothing in moderation will kill you, and I try to have a healthy diet for the most part. But that doesn't mean that I don't eat stuff that's not good for me. I know that sounds absurd, but it's just like being a non-practicing vegan. I just try to avoid it if I can, but every once in a while I might treat myself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, hemp protein powder, it's huge. And so, check it out. If you need protein, it's a good way, especially for vegans, vegetarians. It's a great source. Great source of protein. The United Nations added HHC, which is hexahydrogenated cannabinol. I believe it's something like that. It is what we call one of these synthetics. So they take one part of the plant, and they turn it into another. And again, it's naturally occurring, but it's so low that we can't boost the numbers. It's very popular, or had become very popular, because its strength. Its side effects were being touted as powerful as THC. We had some HHC for a little while, and it just kind of phased out because we started bringing in the industrial hemp THC. Anyway, so it's kind of interesting, but they added it to the psychotropic substances that are banned, and so it'd be interesting to see. And again, I don't know if we, how this would work if we try to add that specifically to the controlled substance list now, or if we just ignore that. I know that the new farm bill may actually take care of the issue, because I believe that the farm bill that they have passed over for a couple years now, I'm pretty sure that it includes no synthetics. Okay, and technically this HHC would then be a synthetic. So you delta 8, delta 10, HHC. Can't believe I'm going to flake on the other one. There's one other synthetic that kind of had some popularity. Delta 8 is still very popular. Delta 10, not as much. HHC, I think, is popular in some places. Um, but I believe the new farm bill would then make those synthetics uh, not legal in industrial hemp or part of the industrial hemp process. I think it's something that could easily be challenged because the original farm bill, unless they take these all out, clearly states that anything that we can make from hemp, as long as it has less than 0.3% THC, is legal. And now we're starting to pick and choose at it. And so where does that go? Again, it's a step backwards for industrial hemp. It's sure not going to make anybody more want to grow more industrial hemp either way. So um, we'll see what happens there. Tennessee and Florida are currently going after THC drinks. So we'll see what happens there. Texas, of course, is a freaking mess. Although I do think that this latest ban that Dan Patrick, the lieutenant governor, he's got like a personal mission. Like I feel like like some kid at his school or his kid brought home some industrial hemp something product, THC. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, this guy's on a mission to make almost all hemp, like 90% of hemp, illegal in the state of Texas. And and again, I think he's still getting a lot of pushback, not only from the citizens of Texas, but even the other legislative bodies of Texas, those that actually have to vote on this type of thing. And again, Texas has like this crazy amount of bills sitting on a table. They haven't been all discussed yet. This one is being discussed, and it is a ban. And bans never work; they always get overturned. And in fact, Texas has already tried to ban Delta 8, and that went to the highest courts in Texas, and the ban was banned. So, again, I don't think it's going to pass, and I don't know what this guy's problem is. And I think it's funny though because there's a video going around of him in a CBD shop trying to buy a product, and the person carding cards is trying to card them, and he's like, "Don't you know who I am? I'm the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick." And the customer said, "Well, I still need to see your ID." And I think it was just brilliant. It was brilliant because this guy was out there trying to prove that uh, we got to do this to protect the kids. And he's 60-year-old. I don't know how old he was. An older dude. He's an older dude. Was getting carded, and they were just taking his word for who he was, that he was an adult and carded. So, again, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. If you want to make it 21 and older, I'm fine with that. We have no problems carding people. We don't sell to kids, and I don't think people should sell to kids when it comes to the THC or the Delta 8. When we know that there are side effects. CBD, it's a different story. I don't think that it's unsafe to give CBD to any child of any age. I mean, one of the whole reasons CBD is so available now is because of Charlotte Fiji, whose battle for uh, CBD that worked for her basically forced all of this to happen. And so, I definitely think that, there's a high amount of angst in kids these days. I've seen suicide rates are higher in kids these days. Um, and I definitely think, and we know that, honestly, that CBD at the very least can help in some of these issues with depression, anxiety, and all that stuff. And so that one I think if anybody was trying to say, and we've seen actually have seen that some states have actually made CBD age restricted, and that to me is just straight up ignorance. It's just straight up ignorance. It's a blanket. It's like a blanket ban on something they don't even know what it's about. Bum. And so, the THC, like I said, the Delta 8, what they call intoxicating hemp, the new buzzword. Um, I'm all about age restrictions. Okay. All in all, is that going to keep kids from getting it? No, because an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old is just going to buy it for them if they really want it. But it makes it easier on us to do the right thing. It makes it easier on whoever's selling these products to do the right thing. I've talked about how I'm very much against banning these products at gas stations and convenience stores and things. I think everybody should be able to sell them. If I can sell them, then everybody should be able to sell them. But if they're doing the wrong things, then they need to be checked on that individually. If they are selling to minors or selling products that aren't really what they are or whatever, that's a whole other issue. And that's left up to the individual retailer. Okay, we can't put a blanket mistrust on all gas stations because there's one shady gas station, or we think all majority gas stations are shady. That's super prejudice, honestly. Super prejudice. You shouldn't sell this stuff in gas stations because what? Gas stations are all bad? Like they're all criminals? I don't even understand. Um, you know, if you want to put more regulations on the production and the safety and all that, well, that's FDA. Honestly, we go back to that FDA issue. Um, all of our products are cleanly sourced, locally made. Is everybody doing that? I doubt it. Um, you know, are the bigger brand names or the ones that are really out there doing it? I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure they are. you know, um, do I think it's a better idea to buy your CBD THC products in some place that knows about them? Well, sure. I mean, we educate people every day. Um, I don't think they're educating anybody at the gas station, but that doesn't that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have the right to go in there and buy yourself a couple THC sparkling waters and whatever else. If it's if it comes from industrial hemp. All right. Let's see here. Oh, Georgia has backed off their ban. Now they may go ahead and try to put it into the alcohol industry people, which I think is also ridiculous. So I really don't know what that's going to do for the Drink Expo yet, but they did actually back off banning THC drinks. That's what they were trying to do. So they're going to try to regulate them, I think, in a different way by moving them under the liquor store, which is what Kentucky just did, ironically. Um, so I don't know if that was a trickle down. Hey, these guys did this, so we should just go ahead and do it too. Which starts a terrible precedent. Terrible precedent in the alcohol industry, and even the regulators. Those that regulate the alcohol industry have no idea how to regulate the cannabis industry. And so, it should be a whole new, if anything, start a whole new division, cannabis, whatever, oversight. I don't know. I think it's ridiculous, all of it, honestly. A lot of states are leaving this alone. It seems like more of the Bible Belt states are going after this stuff. Um, and again, the bans usually get overturned in courts, and then they have to start over again. with something. So I think moving to again, age restriction and packaging, can't be out on the shelf. It's got to be behind the counter. Once again, I'm okay with that too. I think that's responsible retailership, if that's even a word. Hey. So I was talking about the first 3D house that was built. They had to demolish it because it didn't hold up to the standards. So how about a 3D printed dome? Um, I think that this project has, by looking at the pictures, you think this project has happened. I also realize that AI technology
Yeah.
can produce a picture um, to make it anything look real. So, but I do believe that they have actually, I want to believe, and you look into this company if you're really thinking about it, that they have actually printed this 3D hempcrete dome wherever this may be. They've obviously worked out the designs. The real question is, and obviously, if we can't use hempcrete for load bearing, now possibly if this is in Europe, they might be able to get away with this. Um, but I do believe that this would be using hempcrete as load bearing. So, I guess they're going to test and see, just like the first 3D printed home that didn't hold up to safety standards, um, to see if this holds up to safety standards. Does putting a dome roof or dome shape change things in some way? Honestly, I don't know. Uh, but it's really neat, and I love it. You just bring it. It looks like very little equipment. Honestly, bring it out, put it on the ground, secure it to the ground, start filling it with hempcrete, and out pops a dome home. I love it. I think that 3D printing homes, whether it's in a prefabricated way, like again, we know that there's a company right now that's actually doing basically, um, they're building the walls out of hempcrete in their warehouses. And then you take it to the job site and you put it all together, because you still have to have that frame. And so basically it's easy peasy. Just in fact, it might even be easier to make the walls in a warehouse, because I picture being able to make them like on the ground instead of standing up. So now you got to build the frame and then spray the hemp in, which requires building a subframe to hold that hempcrete or spray that hempcrete where you want it. Whereas I think you might be able to do it on the ground where you've got your frame there, and then you just fill in the hempcrete, and then it hardens, and you stand it up, and you've got your hemp wall. So, we're seeing that happen. And of course, prefabrication of homes is the way most homes are made now. They bring the frame in on a big truck, and they just, that's the way almost all houses, whether it's a $100,000 house or a $500,000 house, most more than likely the frame's coming in on a truck. It's not just getting built right there. Either way. So, being able to do that with hempcrete walls, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Speaking of, and I talked about this last week, because Arizona State is going to try to develop a load-bearing hempcrete. And I reported years ago on a college university that had supposedly come up with a load-bearing hempcrete, but we haven't seen where that's gone. Now Penn State is getting in on it, and that makes sense because Pennsylvania is a very positive hemp state. They're very big on all things hemp and pushing farmers and manufacturers and things to build and make all things hemp. So the Penn State University Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering is working on a load-bearing hempcrete, and the leader of the project says hempcrete has a bright future, and it's true. Honestly, I mean, uh, it's hempcrete is exponentially getting bigger and bigger. It's almost every day. The snowball was at the top of the hill in the late 80s when France built their first hempcrete house. And then it stayed at the top of the mountain, just barely rolling down for 30 years or so. Maybe 20. And again, in Europe, once again, like I said, they're much more apt to be using it. But finally, that snowball started rolling here in the United States, and it's really, really gaining momentum as it's approaching midway, because we still have a long way to go before hempcrete has really done its job, which is replaced um, a inferior product with a sustainable, environmentally friendly product. Hempcrete is lighter, and I think that's the reason why, because it's more porous, it's lighter. I think that's the real reason behind the load bearing issue. So again, we may have to make it a little heavier. I don't know. Just a tad bit heavier so we can use it for load bearing. But for now, using it as an insulation with a frame, again, if you were going to use concrete as the insulation for your frame, you're now using hempcrete, which is, again, lighter, uh, flame retardant, uh, antimicrobial, antibacterial. That hemp has sequestered, it continues to sequester and will hold the carbon in it better than any other form of crete. And that's why, and again, that's why really load bearing hempcrete is going to be a game changer. Because once we have load bearing hempcrete, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. Once we have the load bearing hempcrete, there will be a lot more of the bigger players that will be willing to work with hempcrete, because they don't have to worry about where they're using it. It doesn't matter. They've ordered hempcrete for this job. You send them out the load bearing hempcrete, and they can use it any way they want. Any way they want. So, that's going to be, it really is going to be a game changer. Now we're still using it a lot. And we're going to continue to be using it a lot and work around that load bearing part. We've 5 to 7 story buildings in France. The tallest hempcrete building is 12 stories tall. So even if they didn't use it for load bearing, they still built the structure of the building out of hempcrete. They had a frame or whatever, however they did it. And so, um, there's no reason not to have hempcrete skyscrapers if so needed. Well, I don't know if you invested in the Harvest Farm Group in California, but this guy, okay, so he's a disbarred attorney. While he was serving a sentence on home, he was at home serving a sentence on some criminal something, okay, he took in almost $20 million from investors for this Harvest Farm Group in California. Um, well, it got him 25 years in jail. Okay. There was another one that was scamming, and I think it was only, it was a lot less money. But it hemp is no different than every other industry. The bigger it got, the more likely it was we were going to see some shenanigans. And here you go, this guy. Um, and you know, one part of me says, well, it's kind of brilliant because he did this during the hemp boom, so people were ready to give him the money. You know, what I don't understand is you taking $18.5 million. Why didn't you just grow some freaking hemp? I mean, how much would it have cost? You spend $1 million on hemp seed and grow some hemp. And I was like, it's like the laziest con man ever because he really had a great thing. I mean, I just, I just have to laugh. I honestly just have to laugh because I mean, even if he took half that, $9 million, you couldn't have started a CBD business for $9 million and pocketed $9 million. Thanks, people. Here's the company. We're making money. I don't know. It's just that part of it just really questions me is how much money he can. You know, if it had been $1 million, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I get it. It made it difficult to actually start a hemp company. But $18.5 million. I mean, geez, oh Pete, the guy must be a terrible business person. I mean, he's obviously a terrible lawyer. He's been disbarred. He's on house arrest while this is going on. But apparently he knows zero about business because I think if somebody gives me $18 million, I can easily take 9 of it and have a up and running, unbelievably brilliant hemp company.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. And if I take the whole 18 million, there'd be no stopping me. There'd be no stopping this hemp company. So there's a call out there. If somebody wants to give me a bunch of millions of dollars to start them a hemp company, a true hemp company, okay, the company would be required to have fiber products, to have herd products, to have grain products. That would be it. Okay, we call it the Tri Hemp Corporation. You can call it whatever you want. It'll be your business. I'll just run it for you. For a measly, I don't know, not much. But we will dominate the hemp world. I would guarantee you this. For your investment, we would be dominating the hemp world in less than 10 years. All right. Speaking of that, here is this first picture. I think this is the hemp company, the hemp plastic company, and everything. A lot of the hemp plastics that they have, and again, newly formed company with the right ideas. When I say speaking of that, what I mean was in 2003, the founder of this hemp plastic company published a book. Here is the book. It's called Hemp, and this book was more based on the nutritional value. It had recipes, and I have a copy of this somewhere. I may have one of the first copies printed of this book, to be honest with you, because you know, that was only 21 years ago. We were open for 8 years at that point. So, and that's when I was any book written about hemp. I was more than likely to have found a copy of, if not tried to sell in the store. And so I know I have a copy of this book. And so, by that I mean 20 years ago, Paul's focus was on the food industry. That food industry came to fruition for the most part, with Canada growing as much grain as it is, not necessarily in the United States, but as much as grain that Canada's growing for hemp food products. And then he learned, and he knows so much about hemp that drove him. And I feel like this is like something that I would do. Like 20 years ago, I would have been gung ho about educating people on hemp food, and now I want to have a hemp plastic company, and I totally support that because it's again one of the greatest things that we can make out of hemp for the planet, and it doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't make anything worse if you make these plastics now. Then start figuring out how to make them out of hemp, so you've got a more environmentally safe product. And no, your customers wouldn't even notice. They wouldn't even notice. So again, it just seems like such a logical thing to do anyway. Hemp plastic is a huge part of the future of this industry that we're once again just now seeing just just a little bit of what hemp plastic can do. They can do a lot. And again, we're talking a lot of most of hemp plastic, I believe, is biodegradable, or some of it's compostable. A lot of it, if not most of it, is biodegradable. The waste is a cleaner waste than petrochemically based synthetic products. Okay, um, even if we made even when, and we have somewhat figured out how to make a synthetic hemp fiber, that synthetic hemp fiber, even if it has nano hemp that goes out there, and we hear a lot about nanoplastics, and the nanoplastics that have made their way to the tallest mountains, to the bottom of the deepest oceans, and into human blood systems come from hemp, or I'm sorry, synthetic clothing. Okay. You wash it, you dry it, the nanoplastics get into the water system, you dry it, the nanoplastics get into the air system, and they are so prevalent because synthetic clothing makes up about 40 to 45% of all the clothing that people wear. That huge amount of nanoplastics has literally found its way to everywhere on the planet, including inside of us. Ah, I mean, eeks. Seriously. 40 to 45% of the clothing that we wear is finding its way literally inside of us. And guess what? The liver and the kidneys and the digestive tract and the stomach have never known how to do: digest plastic. Okay. Again, we cannot figure out where some of these cancers come from when we literally have plastic running through our bodies. Okay. Hemp plastic is one of the only solutions to removing this situation. Once we're making hemp synthetic fiber like clothing. Okay. Huge. I don't want to take away the business of synthetic clothing makers or cotton clothing makers. I want them to switch to hemp. I don't want them to close up shop. I don't want them to be done with their business. I'm not trying to put them out of business. I'm trying to tell them that the future of fiber is hemp. And the smart move is to make your clothing out of hemp or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be clothing. Car seats. We've seen hemp leather, faux leather made out of hemp. Yet another material that just does not need to exist on the planet. Now, I realize it exists. There's a lot of it because we don't waste any part of the cow when we kill it, whether we kill it for food or whatever, normally food. But It's just another way to minimize. If we can make a hemp hamburger and we can make hemp faux leather, and we can probably do a lot of other things that we get from the cow, then maybe we can kill less cows. I'm not saying, that I'm not trying to take away the beef industry. I'm not trying to take away the leather industry. But I'm also trying to tell them just grow hemp. I can almost guarantee you there's a lot less maintenance and worry in a field full of hemp than there is a field full of livestock. Again, I don't want any of these businesses to go out of business. I don't want any of them to have to shut their doors because hemp came along. I just want them to realize that the hemp is a superior product to give their customers, so they need to move that direction, or someone else is going to. Like I said, 10 years from now, um, there's going to be a major hemp T-shirt maker. There's going to be a major hemp company in every industry that we can use hemp in, and there's a lot of them. I one of the things that I do when I go out and I do my speech and I get to my question and answers is I often say to people that there's probably not a job or business that you're involved in that couldn't benefit by having hemp in it somehow. And so, and I truly believe that. I truly believe that. Very little industries we couldn't figure out how to incorporate hemp and in a beneficial way. And all hemp is sustainable. All hemp is eco-friendly. All hemp, while being grown, collects more carbon than trees in 6 months as opposed to 20 years. All hemp is a phytoremediator. So all hemp removes toxins from the soil. It doesn't mean that it goes into the grain. Doesn't and right now it does it in a way that we don't even notice. But we do notice when we use it for actual phytoremediation projects, where we plant hemp to specifically remove chemicals. One we found was it did remove 11 different PFACs. I think that's what they call them, basically the forever chemicals that nothing, they will be in the ground forever unless we remove them. And we put them there. Humans put them there. And hemp works great to remove them. Now we're starting to learn on what we can do with that hemp product or how to dispose of that because it's got those chemicals in it specifically. All right. How about the IND hemp company? So, I forget what. Here we go. This is a company that is in fact focusing on. This is kind of interesting because they're focusing on um, fiber, and they're focusing on feed, grain, and livestock feed. Now, of course, now you can't feed hemp grain to any livestock other than laying hens in the United States. The FDA has approved hemp seed feed for laying hens. So hopefully coming soon is, hemp fed chickens on your egg packages. I can't wait. And I am ready to find someone, even locally, that feeds their chickens. We give our chicken hemp grain, but there's only one, and we're not going to eat her. Not that you can't, I take that back because you can't sell a chicken that's eaten hemp grain as livestock. So I take that back. Those are called brooders. Brooders are that it says laying hens. So I can eat the eggs of a chicken. I can buy the eggs of a chicken that was fed hemp, and I think they're working on that. But they're also working on hemp grain growing as a food product. And so they're really doing, which is again what every farmer should be contracted to do, or every farmer should do at the end of the growing season, and that is use the entire plant. You've got the fiber, that's one part. You've got the herd, the shiv, the outside part to build your houses for your animal bedding. That's two parts. You have the grain for humans, animals, shampoos, whatever you want to use that grain for, as the third part. And no one of these parts interferes with the other parts. You sell all your grain to someone that wants the grain. You sell all your fiber to someone that wants the fiber. You sell all your herd to someone that wants the herd. And so you're making your three different selling items. And you make your money on the grain. If you grow the grain, you will get the money out of your acreage. I will almost guarantee it. If you grow organic grain, I would do guarantee it, because the Canadians still will buy all the organic hemp grain that we can grow in the United States. And of course, hemp is organic by nature. When you're growing for the grain, when you're growing for the fiber, you're growing for the stock, you don't have to use any herbicides or pesticides. They are not required. There is no pest. There are some pests, but none of the pests that affect cannabis affect it. It might affect your fiber, it might affect your herd, but not the grain. Because they're borers. A lot of the pests of hemp, they bore. They're borers, so they bore in. I don't think that it would destroy a fiber crop. I've never heard of that. Okay, I know that these things exist, but I've never heard of any of them actually destroying the crop so that it could not be used. In grain, nothing. Not even the spider mites that love to grow on the cannabis flower. Okay, affect the grain enough, because it's they're on the outside and they really don't affect the production all in all, of the grain, because you put a male and a female hemp plant together and it'll give you all the seed you ever need. So that's I mean, again, these more and more, and this is the way to figure it out. Just like I mentioned, I would be no different with the hemp company that I ran. It would be it'd be whole plant. Maybe call it the whole plant hemp company. The whole plant hemp plant. Let's build it. The whole plant hemp plant. Anyway, so here's a fun little picture. I'm just including the. Oh no, I won't do this one yet. I'll do it last.
Okay.
I'll talk about the Premier Graphene. So a company called Premier Graphene. I've been talking a lot, about graphene. So the one thing that's most interesting about hemp, and you've heard this from me a lot. Okay, it's the strongest natural fiber. Okay, no other natural fiber can compete with it. It's 4 to 6 times stronger than cotton. Okay, stronger than any other natural fiber. It is also, or also can be, made into the strongest known fiber to humans, graphene. I've talked about this before. We've known about this for a while. We're starting to see the development. That's what Premier Graphene is actually now doing. And again, this is making graphene at about 10,000th of the cost of the current way to make graphene. Okay, this is a game changer in superconductive batteries. This is a game changer in the automotive industry, because graphene is the part of that. This is a game changer in any industry that wants to use the strongest known material to man right now, can be made out of hemp, graphene. Thank you, Premier Graphene, for they're doing it. I've talked about it, and how they know that this technology has been known how to do it. And once again, the greatest thing about it is what are they making their graphene out of? Hemp waste. All right. So, and again, if every cannabis grower, and say California, I think that they may be in California, I'm not positive. Okay. If every cannabis grower, not that you would, because you wouldn't know the difference whether it was hemp or, say, marijuana. Not saying they should do that because, just basically gave them their waste, or they came and picked it up for free, or even paid them a small schmidtling for it. There is a ton of waste. Okay, even in the CBD industry, if you're growing for CBD, you're just cutting the flower off, and the stalk is, most places don't use it. A question that I ask CBD or hemp farmers, depending on what they're growing for, okay, is what they plan to do with the waste. Just like last night when I was talking to the hemp farmers, that's a question I ask every hemp farmer, is what are you doing with your waste? And they are going to basically chop it back up and use it as an aeration, put that biome, that hemp biome that I talked about on the show, that's very specific to different hemp cultivars. The the small amount of bacteria and all of these things is kind of specific to different cultivars, and it needs to be there for the plant to be the best plant it can. So they're going to return that to the soil for the next harvest. And these guys were farming indoors. And so once again, that's, regenerative waste, I'll call it somehow. I don't know if that's even I don't even know if that's a word or a term. But, it's not really waste because it's benefiting them. And that's, that again, if we could collect all the waste from cannabis, we'd actually be pretty close to being able to really have the amount of, once again, that herd for hempcrete projects. That fiber for clothing. It might be short fiber, so it might be a different kind of material that we're making out of it, but there's surely a material that we can make that we can use in some industry somewhere that would benefit people. And so, what I really think also was neat about this is, once again, this whole idea evolved or started with hempcrete. So this company was really looking into hempcrete and seeing what they could do with that. And then they moved to bioplastics. And then that led them into making hemp graphene. And I think one of the reasons is because I think making hemp graphene is actually pretty easy in the grand scheme of things. You have your hemp. I believe that, I don't know if they add water or something, and then it's like heated up, and then that causes, again, science is an unbelievable thing. But they figured out how to do it. It exists. And again, it's a huge game changer when they can start literally like offering rolls of graphene for a tiny bit. Now, hopefully, I hope they haven't given up on their bioplastics, because you know how much I love those. But the graphene thing is big. All right. So, on a fun note, I just want to let everybody know that Hemptations was high enough in the brackets that I earned some fire. And of course, if you look closely, I only missed my points, 10 points. If I got that right, then I had 420 points at the time. But that was actually, ESPN actually adds the little fire. And so I just thought that was fun. going into the Final Four. All right, let's get through some events here real quick, and we'll get everybody on their way. March 27th, you have the Illinois Hemp Summit at the Artisans Building in Springfield, Illinois. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing March for? Jeez, oh, Pete, we're past. Ay. April 5th, here we go, in Austin, Texas. You've got a Hempcrete open house. So you can go and check out a Hempcrete house that was built. You can talk to the builder and get some insight on that. Here's a little bit more possible information for you. And again, this is Saturday. I believe that's Saturday in Austin. Open house, Hempcrete open house from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. April 10th through the 12th, NOCO at Estes Park in Colorado. You can go to nocohempexpo.com for more information on that one. Biggest hemp event. If you haven't planned it yet, get on it. You've only got about a week and a half.
Yeah.
But you can't learn more, see more, know more, get more hemp than at NOCO. April 19th, you've got the Hemp Fair at the Cannabis Museum in Athens, Ohio. And again, the Cannabis Museum was started by Donnie Wirtschafter, who is, one of the oldest hemp pioneers. I might calling him old. He's been around for as long as anyone in the hemp industry, and so that should be a good time. Once again, I put May 16th through the 19th on here, and I don't have what it is.
It's
Did I send that graphic over again? I forgot.
Workshop.
Here it is, Hempcrete Workshop. There's all the information. It's not till May 16th, 19th. I have to figure out how to get the more information up there. But it's a 3 or 4 day workshop, so that's really going to be some hands-on getting it done, seeing how it's done, watching it done, kind of situation there. June 10th through the 11th, the 10th annual Native American Cannabis and Hemp Conference at the Pechanga Resort in Temecula, California. Man, that one is a tongue challenge. But again, it's the 10th annual Native American Cannabis and Hemp Conference at the Pechanga Resort in Temecula, California. June 11th through the 13th, the European Industrial Hemp Association will be having their annual meeting in Berlin, Germany. So if you're over in Europe, possibly Germany, we've had German viewers. We are internationally watched. This may be an interesting event for you to go to. Again, Europe is mostly embraced hemp for a lot longer than the United States has. And so they definitely know a little bit about it. July 9th through the 11th, you've got that Hemp Beverage Expo down in Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll see if that happens, doesn't happen. You might have to be carded just to get in at this point. And maybe they were going to card people just to get in anyway. I don't know. July 25th through the 27th, right here in Waverly, Ohio. You've got the Stargazers Cannabis Festival. They are going to have an interactive Hempcrete workshop. I myself will be putting on a hemp paper workshop. All things go right. Still working in on it, but I'm working on it. I'm in almost daily communication to make this happen. And there is a very good chance, I believe that he did tell me as well, that I will have a speaking opportunity to educate. So Again, that's July 25th through the 27th. Basically, right in the middle of Ohio, for the most part, if you look on the map where Waverly is. And so, no matter where you're coming from, it might be worth it. And again, there's bands, and this is all things cannabis. And so, we're going to be there for the hemp part of cannabis. But there will be a lot of other positive cannabis things going on if you are into such. And then October 3rd through the 5th, you have the Hemp Building Symposium, the Lower Sioux Indian community in Minnesota. And again, the Lower Sioux have built, they have grown, built, and they built a workshop, or they built basically, and then they have built hempcrete houses. So again, this is on hand knowledge, basically from seed to wall, as I say. Is there an S for architecture somewhere? I don't know. But seed to wall, which is the goal. The closer we can grow the plant that becomes your home, the more environmentally safe that it is too. Construction materials come from all over the world. And it's, with almost zero effort. You can grow your house, in the front yard, so to speak. Or you can grow your house and then build it where you cut down where you grew the stuff to build your house. That seems quite logical to me. So. All right. Well, I didn't have any questions. As you can see from the length of the show, one of the longest ever, I had plenty of thoughts, as usual. And so that we will leave you. Remember, everyone, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See y'all next week.
Peace.